Hello, cohorts, and we are ready for week 6. Are we ready? And the discussion topic for week 6 centers around time of to adopt, adoptive learning technologies, mobile learning, and time of adoption 2 years to 3 years, the Internet of Things. And these topics, like the previous topics, all share a connecting thread. They are interwoven and interconnected. And as we delve into them, excuse me, we can begin to see this connection and how it permeates in every part of education and specifically educational technologies. And again, we're looking at adaptive learning technologies, mobile learning, and the Internet of Things. And moving forward, when we look at adaptive learning technologies, these are technologies that can be adapted specifically for the student, providing individualized support for that student and individualized methods by which the instructor can address the needs of that student. And you can see these adaptive technologies are active specifically in your exceptional children's population, where we have children with special needs. And now with the internet, these technologies seem to be centered around cloud-based adaptive learning technology. I know for me, in the high school environment, we're trying to bundle these technologies. And one of the things that we use is Canvas and Study Island. We recently purchased Study Island with our bundle of cloud-based adaptive learning technologies. And you can, the kids are already in the system, so you can individualize their instruction. And it's really a great way to facilitate adaptive learning activities for the individual student. Now, here on this particular slide, I've shared with you some K-12 adaptive learning technologies that are pretty popular from K-12 on up. And remember, I'm looking at this through the lenses of a public school educator. I'm not specifically looking at the higher ed component of it. Next, we have the mobile learnings. And I'm going to hone in on smartphones and tablets because those were the areas that most of the research centered around. And it was really interesting because I think we have to include in this conversation Chromebooks and those kinds of things because I think they're tweeners. They kind of give kids a third, or give folk, not just kids, but give folk a third opportunity, a third option in that they can facilitate some of the same things as a tablet, but they're less expensive and they have the keyboard option. And, what I found interesting was these percentages, and you can see them for yourself. 38.5% students reported owning tablet. Now, these were statistics from the data that was given to us in the reading this week. Now, this is not by any stretch of the imagination globally or even nationally, but it does represent a random sample of what we might find at any, university, at any higher ed institution. So it's worth looking at. And one of the things that I want us to be mindful of is that though a lot of people may own mobile phones, a lot of them are not using them for instruction. And that brings us to the Internet of Things. And the Internet of Things, as of 2015, 73% of all United States teenagers had access to smartphones. Again, that's that connecting thread, according to Capterra. Nearly 100% of all U.S. public schools have internet access, and 70% of middle school students and 75% of high school students use laptops for educational purposes. Again, I'm going to throw a curveball in there and say Chromebooks, because we're seeing an infiltration of that middle tier technology infiltrating the educational environment because they're cheap. So, with that in mind, it presents another opportunity for the Internet of Things to infiltrate our lives. Now, this was some interesting data when I looked at the dollars and cents. 30,000 to 50,000 yearly is saved when we look at reusable technology. And again, through the lenses of a high school professional, we get boxes of paper, 2 boxes of paper, and by using our technology, we don't have to use up that resource to make copies for students. And these are some other also items that we see being used in public education. And here are my sources. I enjoyed the reading and I hope you did too. Thank you. I'm not going to keep it long, done.